Okay, so now here you can see we will start with the binary amplitude shift keying. Okay, this is ASK, or it is also called as on off keying, OOK. Okay, so what is ASK? In ASK, binary 1 is represented with presence of carrier and binary 0 is represented with absence of carrier. So this is the transmitter, you can see, and you will be able to understand this line via this diagram. So you can see this is called a product modulator, which is serving as our block M. Okay, and from here digital message signal is coming. Okay, this is one. So this is your MT, and this is digital signal 1010, and this is on off. So you can see on means 1 is coming, off means 0 is coming. That is why on off keying is used. So 1010, and you are multiplying with a local oscillator which is represented by CT, and this is basically a sinusoidal signal, AC cos 2 pi FCT. So basically product modulator multiplies these two signal. Okay, so how you gonna get output? When 1 will come, AC cos 2 pi FCT will be multiplied, so you will get at the output AC cos 2 pi FCT. If 0 will come, 0 will get multiplied with this signal, the resultant is 0, that is why 0 will come. So what it is doing, it is representing bit 1 with AC cos 2 pi FCT, and I am representing that with S1 of t, S1 subscript t, and when 0 comes, S2t is equal to 0 volt. So that is how you are mapping bit 1 with AC cos 2 pi FCT, a cosine signal, and 0 means 0 volts. So whenever you will have 1, you will represent it by a cosine signal. Whenever you have 0, you will send nothing. So that is the meaning of amplitude shift keying. So when bit 1 will come on, bit 0 will come off. So that is how your transmitter model will look like for ASK. Now I'm gonna show you the signals, if how MT will look like, CT will look like, and how your output will look like. Okay, so now let's see what will happen when your local oscillator has some phase difference. Okay, so let's say instead of AC cos 2 pi FCT, your local oscillator output is AC cos 2 pi FCT plus phi, where phi is your phase difference between the phase of local oscillator and the local oscillator of transmitter and local oscillator of receiver. Okay, those will be having two phases. The phase difference is represented by phi. Now in this case, your low pass filter output is AC square by 2 cos phi instead of AC square divided by 2. And in this case, if your phi is equal to 90 degree, if your phase difference is 90 degree, which means you will always get at the output of the threshold 0. This means you won't be able to detect bit 1, and always it will show 0. And this means it is affected by QNE, which the full form is quadrature null effect. So this is a problem actually. So you won't be able to detect bit 1, it will always detect bit 0 at the output of threshold. So that is why we try to maintain the synchronization, this phase synchronization. What do I mean by this? Means you try to keep the phase difference as low as possible, and ideally it should be equal to 0. Okay, so that you will be your receiver will work properly. So your difference in phase between the local oscillator of transmitter and the local oscillator of receiver should be 0, or it should be as minimum as possible, else it won't be able to work properly. If phi will go to 90 degree, things will be different, and you will not be able to receive bit 1. Okay, and this is pretty difficult task to maintaining the synchronization, that requires extra circuitry, and this is done in real life as well, to maintain the synchronization between the local oscillators of transmitter and receiver. This is a big task. So that is why this problem has to be corrected all the time. Means the synchronization should be proper between the receiver and the transmitter. That's what you say by synchronization. So we'll look at the receiver part of the amplitude shift keying. Okay, so you will have this is your receiver side. So you will have ASK signal, which is nothing but 1. If there is bit 1, it is AC cos 2 pi FCT S1 of t, and if bit 0, it is S2 of t, means 0 volt. Okay, this is your ASK signal. Now you gonna multiply this signal with local oscillator signal, and that is nothing but AC cos 2 pi FCT. If you multiply these two signal, what you will get here at the output, if you bit 1 will come, then AC square cos square 2 pi FCT will be the output here, and if bit 0 will come, then 0 will be your output. Mind you, bit 1 means AC cos 2 pi FCT is coming here, not 1. Okay, we have converted in this form when we transmitted. So AC cos 2 pi FCT will come, then output will be AC square cos square 2 pi FCT. Since this is also AC cos 2 pi FCT, if 0 volt will come, then 0 will be output. Now your low pass filter will pass the low frequency. So if you solve this at the output of low pass filter, what you will get is bit 1 means AC square divided by 2, and bit 0, for bit 0 it is 0 volt, means for 0 volt you will get 0 here. For AC cos 2 pi FCT, here you will get AC square divided by 2. Okay, so low pass filter just passes the low pass frequency component. Now this will serve as your V in, these two signals, and there will be a set V threshold from which the threshold comparator will compare the values. So VTH is set to AC square divided by 4. Why? Because this is the middle point of the signal. 0 volt, the middle of 0 and AC square divided by 2 is AC square divided by 4. Okay, just take the average of 2. This plus this divided by 2 is AC square divided by 4. Generally we keep the threshold the center value. Okay, else the people will mention. So this will be a threshold value from which this Vn will be compared. Now at the output, if Vn is greater than equal to VTH, it is considered as bit 1, and if the VTH is less than if the input voltage is greater than equal to VTH, it means you will have bit 1, and if your input voltage is less than VTH, you will have 0 bit. Okay, so that is the meaning. Okay, that is how you decode bit 1 and bit 0 from your ASK signal. And then you know the usual part, it will go through encoder, then this will go through decoder and then reconstruction filter, and you will get your analog signal back. So but we are not interested in getting analog signal back, we are just interested in getting our digital signal back from our modulated digital signal, that is ASK. So you got 1 and 0. Now we gonna look for some one more thing. When your local oscillator has some phase, that is AC cos 2 pi FCT plus phi, where phi is your phase. So instead of this AC local Okay, so now let's see what will happen when your local oscillator has some phase difference. Okay, so let's say instead of AC cos 2 pi FCT, your local oscillator output is AC cos 2 pi FCT plus phi, where phi is your phase difference between the phase of local oscillator and the local oscillator of transmitter and local oscillator of receiver. Okay, those will be having two phases. The phase difference is represented by phi. Now in this case your low pass filter output is AC square by 2 cos phi instead of AC square divided by 2. And in this case, if your phi is equal to 90 degree, if your phase difference is 90 degree, which means you will always get at the output of the threshold 0. This means you won't be able to detect 1 bit 1, and always it will show 0. And this means it is affected by QNE, which the full form is quadrature null effect. So this is a problem actually. So you won't be able to detect bit 1, it will always detect bit 0 at the output of threshold. So that is why we try to maintain the synchronization, this phase synchronization. What do I mean by this? Means you try to keep the phase difference as low as possible, and ideally it should be equal to 0. Okay, so that you will be able, your receiver will work properly. So your difference in phase between the local oscillator of transmitter and the local oscillator of a receiver should be 0, or it should be as minimum as possible, else it won't be able to work properly. If phi will go to 90 degree, things will be different, and you will not be able to receive bit 1. Okay, and this is pretty difficult task to maintaining the synchronization, that requires extra circuitry, and this is done in real life as well, to maintain the synchronization between the local oscillators of transmitter and receiver. This is a big task. So that is why this problem has to be corrected all the time. Means the synchronization should be proper between the receiver and the transmitter. That's what you say by synchronizing. So let's talk about the transmission bandwidth. So what will be the bandwidth of the transmitted signal which you will transmit from the modulator? So you had your message signal that is converted into digital signal by PCM transmission, and then it goes to a modulator which is ASK transmitter, and it is go to the free space as S1T or S2T. So what you're gonna see is the bandwidth of this signal, this what you have transmitted. So if you will transmit 1, you are transmitting this signal. Okay, so the Fourier transform of this signal is like this. Okay, 0, 1 by TB, minus 1 by TB. This is a rect signal, this is a sync signal. Okay, so I've only taken the main lobe part. Now if you send this S1T from here, this is your bit 1, okay, here, and the Fourier transform of this guy is like this. This is frequency axis, this is the sync, and this is rect. 1 by TB, minus 1 by TB, 1 by TB, and the width is TB. Now S1T is your AC cos 2 pi FCT, means here you have multiplied AC cos 2 pi FCT with this signal. So the Fourier transform will get modulated, will get shifted in frequency axis. So it will shift it to the center FC plus 1 by TB this point, FC minus 1 by TB this point. Okay, so this frequency signal, frequency domain signal is shifted to FC. Okay, and that is positive axis, and similarly it will be shifted in negative axis as well, but we are not interested in that. We are only interested in positive range. Now when you transmit 0, you are transmitting nothing, 0 volt, and for that you will have a Fourier transform 0, nothing will be there, so it will be shifted if with FC. So this is how it will look like. So in both the cases you can see the bandwidth in the frequency range is, this is also 0. So the bandwidth in both the case is highest frequency minus lowest frequency, that is bandwidth is equal to FC plus 1 by TB minus FC minus 1 by TB. That comes out to be 2 1 by TB that comes out to be 2 RB bandwidth. Okay, so this is the bandwidth of this signal, you can see, and where RB is your bit rate which you are generating from here. Okay, so what I can write is bandwidth for ASK equal to 2 RB. Okay, this will always be true no matter what you are transmitting from here to the ASK modulator. The bit 1 will be represented in this way and bit 0 will be in this way. Okay, until and unless you don't change the value of small n, considering the small n is equal to 1. Right now we are studying binary amplitude shift keying. I'm gonna tell you about when you will represent with more number of bits, this will change our bandwidth as well. Okay, so for now n is equal to 1, you are representing one message with one bit, that is why bandwidth of ASK will always be 2 RB. Okay, so now let's look at energy per bit, that is represented by E subscript B. Now S1 and S2T are finite duration signal, hence they are energy signal. If you will calculate the energy of sending bit 1, that is EB is equal to energy of S1T from 0 to TB, since the time range is 0 to TB, S1T square dt, which is 0 to TB AC cos 2 pi FCT whole square dt. If you solve this, you will get 0 to TB AC square divided by 2 dt plus 0 to TB AC square divided by 2 cos 4 pi FCT dt. If you solve all this expression, you will get EB is equal to AC square TB divided by 2 joules. Or if you rewrite, your carrier amplitude can be written as under root 2 EB divided by TB. Okay, this we gonna use it later. Right now our concern is EB. EB is equal to AC square TB divided by 2 joules. Means if you want to send bit 1, this much energy will be used by your transmitter. Okay, so this will be the energy of the signal of S1T, means you are sending bit 1. If you send bit 0, since your S2T is 0, that is why energy in sending bit 0 is 0 joule. Okay, so in amplitude shift keying here, especially when the case of bit small n is equal to 1, that is 1 bit per sample, your EB is equal to AC square TB divided by 2 for sending bit 1, and for sending bit 0 nothing is required, it is 0 joule. So that is your energy per bit. Okay, so let's look at the constellation diagram of amplitude shift keying. Okay, for that you need to first understand this thing. We are representing S1T as AC cos 2 pi FCT, and just now we saw we can write AC as under root 2 EB by TB cos 2 pi FCT. Okay, this I replaced AC with under root 2 EB divided by TB. Now S2T is our 0 volt. So if you look at this, if you calculate the energy of this signal, 0 to TB S1 square T dt, that's what we called energy per bit. And if I'll plug this value, under root 2 EB divided by TB cos 2 pi FCT whole square dt is equal to EB. This EB I can take out square, okay, and this EB will get cancelled to this EB, and what we are left with is 0 to TB under root 2 EB divided under root 2 divided by TB cos 2 pi FCT whole square dt is equal to 1. This means your energy of this signal is equal to 1, and this is nothing but it is called as unit energy function or unit normalized function. Okay, this under root 2 EB cos 2 pi FCT, energy of this signal, particular signal, is 1. This is the proof. So this is called unit energy function, unit normalized function. Okay, or unit normalized function. Now we gonna use this function to create our constellation diagram. Now let's see how you can make constellation diagram. So here you can see we had S1t is equal to AC cos 2 pi FCT. We can replace AC by under root 2 EB divided by TB. This cos 2 pi FCT is same. Now we can take out under root EB outside, and rest is under root 2 divided by TB cos 2 pi FCT. Just now we saw this is the unit energy function, and I am representing this function by phi of t. Okay, this is not phase difference, this is just a function. I am representing this function as phi of t, and we just saw it has unit energy. So this is unit energy function, and this under root EB is same as this, and our S2t was 0 volt, that you can that you know that. So how we can plot? Here you can see this is your phi t axis, this is minus phi t axis. In phi t axis you have amplitude under root EB, this is the distance, that is the amplitude, and this is represented, this point is represented as S1t, and the 0 volt is here, it's 0 into minus phi t you can understand, or 0 into phi t you can understand. This is represented as S2t. So this point, the 0 point is your S2t, and these are constellation points in constellation diagram. This is your constellation diagram. So this 0 is represented as your S2t, and this S1t is represented by under root EB. So this is the nice way of pictorial way of representing digital transmitted signals, that is ASK, PSK, also FSKs. This is a nice way, and from this you can extract most of the information. This is very useful. Okay, so now I gonna write some things about this diagram. So you can think of it as a coordinate axis where phi t is your unit vector, and you are representing the amplitude with respect to the unit vector. So just as in our if you have a xy axis, and you used to represent a vector, so you represent it x I cap plus y j cap, something sort of like this. So this I cap is unit vector. Here is this phi t is your unit vector, and why it is unit vector? Because it has unit energy. So they are energy axes. So you can imagine in this way. So if you want to plot some point in this diagram, you just have to represent in terms of phi t's and all. Okay, so with time you will see more of this, and you will get a good grasp of what I'm trying to say. Now I'm gonna list some points about this diagram. Okay. Now I list down some few points about constellation diagram. So this was our constellation diagram. This point was our S2t 0, and this point our under root EB S1t, and this axis is phi t. Okay, so every axis is energy axis. Okay, so this I should remove. Every energy axis is unit energy axis. Okay, so this is, you have to remember. So in this case this axis is our phi t, which is unit energy, so that is why this is unit energy axis, and from where you plot your the amplitudes of the S1t and S2t. Now the distance of S1t from origin is under root EB. You can see the distance from origin is under root EB for S1t, and distance of S2t from origin is 0. Okay, now energy is something you can calculate from constellation diagram as well. So energy of S1t is, just take the distance and take the square of it. So distance is under root EB, and if you take the square you will get EB. This is the energy per bit of S1t. Similarly for energy of S2t, you take the distance from the origin, in this case it is 0, and take the square of it, you will get 0, which is the energy per bit of S2t. So this is the benefit of constellation diagram. You can calculate the energy of the signal points. Now there is another advantage of constellation diagram, that is distance between the signaling points. your signaling points are S1T and S2T. If you calculate the distance, in this case it is under root EB, and that is represented by the D12. Now this is helpful in calculating the probability of error. Okay, that is why these two parameters, energy and the distance between signaling points, can be calculated, and which gives almost all the knowledge about the technique, digital modulation technique. Okay, so that is why this studying constellation diagram is important. Okay, because you can calculate the energy and distance between the signaling points. And remember, the axes are the unit energy axis. Means whatever function you will have in the axis, they will have unit energy, and accordingly you will mark your signaling points.